Hello boys and girls of primary 6. This is teacher Augustus taking you through math lesson where we are going to look at fractions. When I talk of fractions, this is not our first time talk about fractions. You have always looked at fractions in previous classes, right from primary 1 up to primary 5. This time we are just going to expand the topic. When I talk of a fraction is a part of a whole, and we have got two classes of fractions. These are vulgar or common fractions. The second class is decimal fractions. What do I mean by vulgar fractions? A vulgar fraction is a fraction where we have a numerator and a denominator. Then when I talk of a decimal fraction, this is a fraction where we have a decimal point. We have got three types of common fractions, and these are proper fractions, improper fractions, and mixed fractions. So the common fraction has got two parts. We have got this upper part. This upper number is called a numerator, and a lower number is called a denominator. So this is what we call a common fraction. The upper number, a numerator, the lower number, a denominator. So let us look at examples of proper fractions. But before we look at examples of proper fractions, we need to know what is a proper fraction. When I talk of a proper fraction, this is a fraction where a numerator is smaller than a denominator. So when we look at the examples, we have got a half. So 1 out of 2, 1 is smaller than 2. Therefore, this one is a proper fraction. We can have another example, which is 5 out of 7. When we look at this fraction, 5 is smaller than 7, and therefore it is a proper fraction. Let's look at 8. 8 out of 9. 8 is smaller than 9, and therefore it is a proper fraction. And so many others, as long as the upper number is smaller than the lower number. So that one qualifies to be a proper fraction. So these are the examples of proper fractions. Let us now look at examples of improper fractions. But before we look at the examples, let's talk about the definition of an improper fraction. An improper fraction is a fraction where a numerator is bigger than the denominator. Take for instance, when I write 3 out of 2, 3 is bigger than 2, and therefore this one qualifies to be an improper fraction. When I write 7 out of 4, 7 is bigger than 4, and therefore this one is an improper fraction. We can have 11 out of 8. That one is also an improper fraction, and so many others. We have said an upper number should be bigger than the lower number, and therefore that one is an improper fraction. So these are some of the examples of improper fractions. Let's move on and look at examples of mixed fractions. But what do we mean by a mixed fraction? A mixed fraction is a fraction where we have a whole number and a proper fraction. When we get a whole number, we combine it with a proper fraction, we make a mixed fraction. Look at this example. 1.5. 1 is a whole number. A half is a proper fraction. When we combine, we get a mixed fraction. So this one is a mixed fraction. Let's look at another example. We can have 3.25. 3 is a whole number, a quarter is a proper fraction. When they are combined, we get a mixed fraction. We can again look at another example where we have 7.75. 7 is a whole number, 3/4 or 3 out of 4 is a proper fraction. When they are combined, we get a mixed fraction. So these are some of the examples of mixed fractions. I beg to stop here, and you are going to get your work on the Edmodo platform. So I wish you well, and remember to prevent yourselves from the pandemic in the world, that is COVID-19. Observe SOPs. You are going to be safe. Otherwise, nice time.